Welcome to CIT 110, Programming Logic and Design. I am now your instructor for this class. My name is Lisa Ballbeck. I've been teaching since about 1990, 1991. I've been teaching at NMC since 2016. Prior to teaching, I was a programmer analyst. You can read a little bit about my background if you go into the discussion forum, because I introduced myself and gave you some background information. If you look at the sidebar, you will see that the instructor profile, you'll have my email, my office. However, I am doing quite a few online and live stream this semester, so I'm not really in the office. But you certainly can call my office. Those messages should get forwarded to me. A better way to contact me, though, is definitely by email or by popping into my live stream office hours. And the live stream hours are posted here in the instructor section. I've also got them at the top of the course, and they are in the syllabus. This link here will take you right into the live stream hours. And you don't need an appointment. You can just pop in. And if you have questions or you need help, I am happy to help you. If you want to just pop in and say hi, that's okay too. If you want to know more about, my background, my certifications, all of that, if you have LinkedIn, you can go to my LinkedIn profile. And we'll go back over here until that pops up. And that profile actually has like my work history and my many different certifications. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's coming. Okay, so if you kind of scroll down, the About section kind of tells you different things that I have taught over the years. And this is my kind of my work background, my education, and then we get into all of these licenses and certifications. So you can kind of see there's quite a few of them there. Also, awards that I have received should be in here as well. Yep. So these would be my honors and awards. So you guys can all look through those if you are curious. Let's see, below the live stream office hours, I have announcements, which I have been posting. When I was assigned the class, I posted an announcement, and I will be normally posting announcements when I have finished correcting your work. So you're getting a lot of announcements from me lately. Don't worry, I normally don't post quite that many. I usually post announcements every week once I've corrected so that you guys can go out and look at your scores. For the lab assignments, those are assignments where you're going to be applying what you learn. You will have the opportunity to correct errors and resubmit them. So it is important when you see an announcement that I have corrected that you go take a look, because if you miss points, I would include comments explaining what was wrong, and you have the opportunity to fix it. Student questions and answers, that's a little forum for you guys to post questions to each other. If it is a question about the course, it is better to email me or to pop into live stream office hours and ask me directly. I've also included some links to our social media. We do have events throughout the year, and those events are posted. We also have job opportunities and internship opportunities that we post to social media. If it is an event, typically what I do in my classes is near the top of the course, I will post like a little banner up here, just informing you of the event. In this class, you get extra credit for attending events. So events that we normally have in a semester would be industry night out, where we go to local businesses. And since COVID, we've done them in person, but we've also done them virtually. And the CIT or IT department of the local business is our host, and they basically describe what they do on the job. If we go on site, they actually feed us. It's usually pizza, and they give us pop. So it's kind of a neat event, and it lets you guys do almost a little type of job shadow. So you can kind of see what it's like working in the field. Let's see. Right now, I only have 2 blocks open. We have quite a few more blocks in this course, but they are not ready yet. And the way that I organize these blocks is I put the most recent one on the top. The oldest is on the bottom. So make sure you look at these dates. And then in the getting started block, you'll notice that it does look a little bit different than it did before. I've got the course syllabus, the college syllabus, the assignment schedule, and I also put in key points that were covered in the Code Easy lesson. It's kind of easy to get lost in those lessons because it's got that interactive story going on. And I want to make sure that you guys are picking up on the concepts that you need, these foundational concepts that are so important in programming. And if this is your first programming language, this is your foundation. So it is really important that you understand everything. So you will notice at the top of each block is kind of a summary of what you need to complete. And then there's normally a due date. I have 2 different due dates here because I kind of stepped into the course September 2nd. So obviously, I'm not going to make everything due September 4th. That would be ridiculous. So I pushed the due dates for the newer requirements off a week. So they're not due until the 11th. So to proceed forward, you do need to look at the course syllabus because it is different than the one that Tim had. I like to assess your progress using several different techniques, not just the interactive Code Easy. So if you come through here, again, office hours are at the top. This is the course description from the catalog. And then you'll notice that we don't have a required book. Okay, we've got Code Easy with the interactive materials and the lessons. And then I am also developing what I'm calling key points. And these are critical, foundational pieces of information that you need to understand. And in my lecture key points, I always include lots and lots of examples. The required interactive learning platform is Code Easy. That does have a cost. It's the only thing in this class that has a cost. Everything else is free, and that is $12 a month. As far as our education outcomes, this class does assess critical thinking. And then we have significant learning outcomes. And these are just kind of broad outcomes that by the end of the course, you will be able to go through here and say, yep, we covered that. So They are not specific, they are broad in nature, and this is how I am assessing those. Then we get into the grading. So we have 1,000 points in this class. It's a little bit different than how it was designed before. And so just the discussion are worth points. The Code Easy tutorials are worth points. You will also have lab assignments. I'd like you to apply what you have learned. I believe that is how you learn. So you will have lab assignments, and those are worth points. And then we have unit tests, and the unit tests will be primarily on the key points. Those software fundamental foundational skills that are critical for you, moving forward in this field. So that is what the tests will be on. They are open book, they are open note. You can retake them 3 times, and your highest score is what will be recorded. And there is no time limit. So you all should be able to do really well on those tests. As far as the grading scale, I grade on a percentage. So 95 to 100% is a 4.0. 90 to 94% is a 3.5. 85 to 89% is a 3.0. So this is kind of how it breaks down for points. If you are, let's say you're within 5 points of the next higher grade, no worries, I will actually bump you up. Nobody in my classes misses the higher grade, by less than 10 points. I have kind of a 10-point fudge factor that I use to bump people up. As far as the assignments go, we do have due dates. The tests have due dates. Are they set in stone? If you communicate with me, if you're having personal problems, or if work has been busy, or if anything comes up and you can't make a due date, all you need to do is communicate with me. I am very flexible. I'm more than willing to work with you guys. I understand that life happens, so you just need to communicate with me. As far as the Code Easy assignments go, the dashboard is basically what I would say, the chapter is completed where it says how many tasks that you solved. That is what you should do a screenshot of. And then, if you solved all of the tasks, it doesn't matter to me how many attempts it took. If you solved all of them, you will get all the points. If you solved, like, instead of 10 out of 10, you did 9 out of 10, I would still give you 90% of the points, which is 9 points. If you did 8 out of 10, you're going to get 80% of the points, which is 8 points. So you will get points for whatever you complete. The lab assignments, we aren't going to have one for a couple of weeks. But again, they are designed for you to apply what you have learned, which I think is critical to learning how to code. So depending on the difficulty of the lab assignment, they'll be worth between 30 and 50 points. Discussion exercises, you'll find throughout the semester that I do incorporate those. I like you to, share what you're doing and what you think with each other. We do have some learning outcomes in this class that are best met through discussion. I could make you guys write papers, but it's been my experience that you prefer discussion over papers. So that is how we handle some of our learning outcomes. And as far as the unit test goes, I already talked about those, but there'll be 4 of them in this course, and they will focus, on the material that we have just covered. Open book, open note, no time limit, and you can take it 3 times. The highest score is what will be recorded. As far as communication in the class goes, it is probably best to email me. I do have a whole lot of classes this semester, including live stream. I am not on campus that much, but I'm going to be online a lot. So I do check my email all the time. Make sure you use this email address, okay, lballback@nmc.edu. If you do not hear back from me within 24 hours, then send another message because I probably did not receive it. Because even if I can't get to it right away, I will respond and let you know that. The rest of this, you guys can pretty much read through. I think it's all pretty self-explanatory. And that brings me to the college syllabus. This is the same for every course. So once you read it once, then you're good. So if you haven't read that, make sure that you read through it because there are quite a few college policies in the college syllabus. Then we get to the course assignment schedule. So I'm calling this a tentative schedule because if I need to shift things around, I will. So, if the discussion would fit into a different week better, I'll move it. So that's why it's called tentative. If we get into a crunch for time, I might give you more time on an assignment. That is why it is called a tentative schedule, but it does give you an idea of what we're going to be covering each week. So it is a good idea to print this out and keep it handy so that you know ahead of time what we are going to be covering. And you should notice that what you see here matches what is at the top of the instructional block. I try to keep them the same. The key points. So I just finished these today. And it just kind of extrapolates on what was in Code Easy. So it's just giving you a little bit more background. And for those of you that want to be able to practice outside of Code Easy without downloading additional software, you can go to .NET Fiddle. This lets you do code right in here. And this was an example that I entered for you guys. And you can actually copy and paste it right out of the key point lecture. And then you can run it and you can make changes. So if I change the Fahrenheit to 32, I really expect this to be 0 when I run it. 32 converted to Celsius is 0. Okay, and anything above 32 Fahrenheit is going to be a positive Celsius number. So you can kind of play with this. Okay, and so this is just kind of a nice little environment. You don't have to have an account to use this. I did go through some syntax rules, and syntax are just the rules of the language. Things that you just need to memorize and use when you're writing code. If you forget any of these rules, when you go to run the program, you will get an error. So, different compilers display errors differently, but I will purposefully make an error and you can see it's flagging it. So it's trying to tell me. But you see, and now it's showing me that there is an error and it's saying that there's a semicolon that is expected. Okay, so this is actually a pretty useful message. Sometimes they don't give very useful messages. So syntax errors, if you do not key the code in following the rules, you will get them. And then you have to fix them before you can run the code. Your programs are made up of a series of commands, and they are executed from the top down, beginning at the main method. So that is the starting point, the entry point for the programs where it begins running, and then it executes the commands from the top down. Okay, the Code Easy did talk a little bit about variables and assigning values to variables. So I did cover that, just very basic information on variables. And basically a variable is something that you declare in a program using a name and a data type. And what it does is it reserves a spot in memory for the value that you want to store. Okay, you can declare a variable anywhere in the program. Normally, you would declare them right before you use them. The syntax would be the data type followed by whatever you're going to name your variable. And so these are the different data types and a little description of what they store, and then some examples of how to declare them. And as far as your names, the naming conventions or the naming rules, because C# is a case sensitive language, upper and lowercase are different. So it's really a good practice to just start using all lowercase letters. And if you do have a multi-word variable, kind of a standard naming convention is to capitalize the first letter of the second word. Okay? You cannot put spaces in there. Okay, but instead of making the whole thing lowercase, you just capitalize the second word's first letter. This is called camel casing. Okay, so you can basically name variables whatever you want, although it is better if they are descriptive of the data that you are storing. You can include characters, digits, and underscores. You cannot have spaces. They have to begin with a letter. And they are case sensitive. So uppercase is different than lowercase. You cannot use reserved words. So what are reserved words? Well, those would be the words that you use in the program. So if we look at this little programming example, using is a reserved word. Namespace is a reserved word. Class is a reserved word. So these words have meaning to the language and they cannot be used as variable names. As far as the length goes, there are no limits on the length, but kind of keep in mind that, usually if you declare a variable, you are going to use it over and over again. So unless you really enjoy typing a lot, you may not want to make your names really, really long, because then you will be typing in that really, really long name over and over and over again. Declaring the variable, and this is kind of an important distinction, declaring the variable reserves the space in memory for the value, but it does not assign a value. When you declare a variable, it basically occupies a space in memory and it takes on whatever value is there. So it's really important that you put a valid value into your variables. And one way of doing that is using an assignment statement. So assignment statements place values into variables. That is what they do. You've got your variable name equal to the value. And you can do the assignment when you declare the variable, or you can assign a value later on in the program. If you assign the value when you declare it, that is called initializing. So these are examples of initializing a variable. So we are declaring the variable and we are putting a value into it. This is an example of just declaring a variable. There is no assignment going on. Later in the program, if I assign a value, that is just an assignment statement. And for right now, this is how we are going to be putting our values into variables. We're going to be using assignment statements, or we're going to be initializing them. Later in the course, you guys are going to learn how to actually read data from an input device, okay? And you'll read that data into a variable, but we're not there yet. As far as output goes, you should be really familiar with console.writeline because CodeEasy used it over and over and over again. And so as you discovered, you can do strings, you can output numbers, you can actually do a calculation and output the result. If you wanted to display multiple variables, or maybe a text string and some variables, you can use the concatenation operator between them. The plus sign is the concatenation operator, in addition to being an arithmetic operator. And this little example shows a variable with a plus sign, the concatenator, and a string with the concatenation operator and another variable. Okay, so lots of different ways to output data. For your assignment, I believe most of you have already finished this, but if you click the link, it takes you into CodeEasy's tutorial. And you all know you need to read through this. And anywhere that it says code, you need to make sure that you have solved that. And also make sure you get yourself an account because you want it to, associate the results with you. If you ever need to go back to that little summary of the chapter, you just basically can keep on clicking on next. And it'll show you the complete chapter. And then this is what you would need to submit for your screenshot. Let's see. For this week, you'll notice that I did add a discussion forum and a student profile glossary. I like you guys to introduce yourselves to each other. You'll notice that I did that. And so I would like you all to do that as well. Let people know if you have a nickname, what your interests and hobbies are, maybe what your major is, and any additional information that you feel comfortable sharing. You will notice that I tend to share quite a bit, and you certainly do not have to share as much as me. Only share what you're comfortable with. The student profile glossary is the last thing that I want you to complete. And where that shows up is on our student spotlight. So every time you come into the course, or if you refresh, you will see a different student. And that's just a really nice way to get to know each other. So I do a video that shows you how to do this, but all you need to do is come in here, add a new entry. The concept is your name. Okay, then if you click the arrow, you can add a picture which you're going to probably have to upload. And I'm just going to quick show you this because these pictures come in way too big. And you do need to adjust the size a bit. So this is me and my granddaughter. So that is way too big. So for the size, you just really need to adjust the width because as long as auto size is on, it's going to automatically do your height for you. So if I do a width of 150 or 200 and I press tab, that'll keep it in proportion and it'll be about the right height. Okay, then I just add some alt text here and save the image. And then below that, what I'd like you to do is just enter a quote that you like or hashtags that are representative of you, something that you want to share with the class. So that's pretty much our first week. If you run into problems or if you have questions, please let me know. I am here to help you. And I want you to have fun in this class.